I'm excited to have Austin here. We're obviously maintaining the best we can social distance, not touching and interacting in any way, except, hi. That being said, I hope you're well. I hope everything down there is fine. Check us out on Patreon if you haven't already. Patreon.com/commonbond. If you can't read it back there, don't worry, it's not a big deal. We're trying to get to 50 patrons by the end of March. That gives us just a few more days to close out that goal. And once we get to 50 patrons, by April 1st, I'll jump in the Willamette River.
You
gotta get me there. And I don't like cold showers or cold baths or anything like that. Like, I'm not one of those people. Thursday morning, we're going to be doing a kids yoga break at 10 a.m. with my friend Leslie on Instagram. So head over to Instagram to check that out. And for those of you that are new to us on Common Bond, thanks for being here. Austin's going to teach a nice mindful yoga class today. So shoot us some comments, some likes, some love.
I just did up. Yeah.
The rules don't apply.
Yeah.
All right, so you've got that clock right there.
Cool, thank you. All right, everyone at home, we'll go ahead and get started. So today's class is going to be really focusing on lengthening. So we're going to be doing a lot of work with the lower body, so like calves, hamstrings, quads, and all that. It might be helpful to have either 2 blocks if you have them, or books or water bottles, and maybe also something cushiony to go underneath the knees at certain points of the practice. So that could be a pillow, a blanket, whatever you have around the house. And we'll start in hero's pose. So we'll set our hips to heels, spine nice and long. This is where you can already take maybe a pillow or a block and slide it in between the thighs and set the hips down onto the block for a little bit of cushioning. You can also put more than 1 block underneath. It's a little bit too much on the knee joints. And just finding as much length in the spine as you can there, really pulling the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, resting the palms on the thighs. Maybe just use a quick breath to roll the shoulders up to the ears, roll them down and back, pull the shoulder blades together, finding a nice open heart. Allow the eyes to close, beginning that time to really come to our body, our breath, to just slow everything down, bring that awareness to everything that's going on the mat in this moment. Notice how you're feeling in this moment. Any sensations in this posture that are coming up, whether some discomfort in the backs of the feet. Maybe that's when you adjust as necessary, find something extra cushiony, comfortable to go underneath the feet or the knees. Notice where the mind might be leading you in this moment, whether or not you have that rapid stream of thought, or you're focusing on one particular thing, or any other emotions that might be coming up, positive or negative. Just allowing them to be there, notice them. First, just starting to notice how the breath is moving through the body before we start to control it. Notice that slight movement in the belly, in the chest. Maybe that very small movement as the crown lifts up towards the ceiling, maybe a millimeter as you inhale. And that fall back down on your exhale. Beginning that art of noticing in this practice. Trying to pay attention to every little thing that's going on in the body, in your experience in this moment. Start to bring one hand to the lower belly, one hand to the heart. Eventually working our way to 3-part breath, but first inhale deeply into the belly, feel that expansion outward. And that exhale pulls the lower belly back in towards the spine. 2 more breaths into that belly, feel that deep expansion outward. And that exhale pulls it back in, draws it back in. Pull the lower belly in, empty out as much air as you possibly can. Take another deep inhale into the stomach. Expand out in all directions. Exhale, squeeze it all out, empty out. Next time on your inhale, breathe into the upper body, breathe into the chest. Feel a deeper lift up to the ceiling, and exhale to let it out. 2 more breaths into the chest, just like that. Inhale. Exhale to release, to relax. 1 more there, deep inhale. Exhale out. Moving into 3-part breath. Inhale first, breathe into the belly. Same inhale, float that breath up into the chest. Feel that lift up towards the ceiling. And then exhale out for the 3rd part. Taking 5 more rounds of breath like that. Inhale, belly. Pull it up into the chest. Exhale to release. Creating this wave with your breath. Inhale, belly. Inhale up. Exhale out. 2 more rounds, your own rate, your own pace. Last one. On your exhale, release your hands back down to your thighs. Next, inhale, float the arms up towards the ceiling. Feel the palms touch up overhead, skin on skin contact. Exhale, draw the hands down through heart center, eyes still closed. Once again, inhale, sweep up, reach up. This time, really pulling up through the fingertips, roll the shoulders down. Palms touch. Exhale, draw it through. Inhale, reach back up. This time on your exhale, start to lower the right fingertips down to the mat. Reach the left arm up, and then exhale to reach it over towards the right side of the room. Take an inhale. Maybe exhale, draw the left shoulder back just a touch. Inhale to reach back up, grow as tall as you possibly can. Find that length through the spine. Next, exhale, left fingertips come down to the mat. Reach the right arm up on that same inhale. And exhale, start to bend over towards the left. Drop the neck here, allow it to be heavy. Inhale. Exhale, maybe that right shoulder comes back just a touch. Inhale, me back up towards the mat. Maybe bring the gaze up towards the fingertips. Link the eyes open if they're not already. Palms touch. Use an exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Bring the hands to the thighs. Lift the hips up slightly underneath you. Blocks can stay right where they are. Tuck the toes, stretching out through the backs of the feet. Set the hips back towards the heels. Close the eyes. Take 3 breaths here as you stretch out that fascia, that sheath of muscular tissue that runs from the feet all the way up to the crown of the head, stretching it out here in this part of our body. Keep those deep breaths going. Notice how the stretch, that sensation intensifies as we hold it. One more inhale. And exhale, start to come forward, plant your hands, maybe set the blocks to the side, come into tabletop, stacking shoulders above wrists, hips above knees, spread nice and wide through the fingertips, feel the mat underneath your fingers. Maybe you tap the tops of the feet into the mat after sitting on them for so long, breathe some blood back into them. Starting to take a couple of rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, release the belly, bring the gaze forward for cow. Exhale, press more weight into the fingertips. Round through the spine, hips slightly tuck underneath you, neck releases down, cat. Move through your cat-cow flow with your own breath, inhaling to roll through your cow. Exhale, press the mat away as much as you possibly can. Get that nice deep arch in the shoulders, upper back. One more round here. Notice how each vertebra moves as you come through this flow. Meeting in tabletop in your next round. Inhale, your right foot will step back, tuck the toes, square the hips off towards the ground, pull the right heel towards the mat. Feel that stretch in the calf, all the way along the leg. Gaze is slightly out in front of the fingertips, still pressing down through the hands equally, maybe more through the base of the knuckles. Maybe lower belly in your next inhale, and you maybe start to float that right leg off the mat. Flexing the foot down, pulling the heel back, finding that length. You can also bring more weight into that right hand. Reach the left arm forward, pull forward through the fingertips as much as you can as you reach back through the heel at the same time. Inhale to hold. Exhale, release. Set the right knee down to the mat. Switch sides. Inhale, left foot steps back, toes tuck underneath you. Knee is lifted off the ground. Pull the left heel towards the room. Feel that stretch through the back leg. Next, inhale, lower belly in. Maybe start to hover that left leg off the mat. Press even more into the hands. Maybe your next inhale reaches the right arm forward. Finding that length, reach forward through the fingertips, back through the heel. Inhale, hold. Exhale to lower it all down. Maybe a round of cat-cow. Come to tabletop. Inhale, tuck the toes, lift the knees. Exhale to lift the hips up and back. Straightening through the legs. Maybe soften into the knees a bit. Maybe pedal out through your first down dog, dropping one heel down to the mat and the other. Taking a couple rounds from side to side. Noticing where your weight is in your hands, trying to create equal weight through all points of the hands. Next, exhale, bend the knees. Look forward past the fingertips. Slowly walk the feet to meet the hands. Meeting in ragdoll, deep bend in the knees. Torso drapes over the legs. Maybe hands to elbows. Release the neck. You can sway side to side, allowing length into the entire upper body, all the way from the lower back, all the way to the crown of the head as you drape forward. More weight into the toes. Another breath here. Start to release the hands down to the mat. Inhale to come into a halfway lift. Maybe a nice little bend still in the knees. Hands on shins. Press hands into the shins to pull the crown of the head forward. Lower belly pulls in. Find that length from the base of the spine all the way down the back to the neck, crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, bend deeply back into the knees, lower back down. Inhale, come back into that halfway lift. Hands press into shins, pull the crown of the head forward, lower belly in. Exhale to fold. One more time, just like that. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Soften into the knees, weight into heels. Inhale, start to roll up vertebra by vertebra, taking your time to rise up. Go as slow as you possibly can. Head and shoulders, last thing to rise. Maybe inhale, roll the shoulders all the way towards the ears. Exhale, roll them down and back. Find your feet about hip distance apart. Root down through the feet, trying to scrunch the feet together like you're trying to wrinkle the mat up underneath your toes. Pull the shoulders back, open the palms forward. Slightly lift the chin, close the eyes, crown of the head shines up towards the ceiling. Take a round of breath here. Nice, relaxing exhale out. Next, inhale, sweep the arms back up towards the ceiling. Press even more into the feet as you root down, reach up through the hands. Exhale, release the right arm down to your side. Inhale, reach the left arm up. And then exhale, start to reach it over towards the right as the hips press to the left. Inhale. If you exhale, pull the left shoulder back a touch. Breathe here. Next, inhale, lift everything back up towards the ceiling, reach up. Exhale, left hand comes down to the side. Inhale, reach the right arm up. Exhale, bring it over towards the left, stretching through the side body. Hips come over towards the right, still rooting down through the feet. 2 rounds of breath here. Allow the neck to release. Inhale, sweep the arms back up. Palms meet. Exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Transitioning down to the ground, trying to keep length through the spine as we meet the mat. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, bend into the knees as you start to hinge forward. Try to keep that length in your spine as you come down. Try not to round. And release the hands down to the mat. Feel that length from the hips to the crown of the head. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale, come down. Try to keep that length, not trying to round too much, but pulling the heart forward. And allow the gaze to come wherever it feels natural. Exhale, bend deeply into the knees. Step the right foot back. Drop the back knee. Walk that left foot forward as much as you like, and then track that knee above ankle. Maybe hands stay down to the mats, or to blocks or books. You can also inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Trying to close the ribs towards each other. Maybe inhale, reach the fingers up even more. Exhale, roll the shoulders together. Shoulder blades pull towards each other. Shoulders roll down. Breathing into the hip flexor, trying to pull the left hip back, right hip forward. Inhale. Exhale, set the hands down to the mats. Maybe finding those blocks or books, framing the foot with those blocks. First, inhale, start to straighten through that left leg. Maybe you have to walk it forward a little bit and then flip the toes towards the ceiling, coming onto the heel. Lift up as much as you can through the spine. Once again, trying to go for that length rather than rounding. Take an inhale. Exhale, hinge from the hips so the belly will come towards that left thigh. Chest is still lifted. Gaze will come slightly out in front of the mat. Maybe take another inhale. The exhale, the belly comes even closer down to that left thigh. Take a round of breath here. Feeling that stretch through the back leg. Inhale. Exhale, bend back into that left knee. Track knee above ankle. Set the blocks to the side. Tuck the right toes. Lift the back knee. Inhale to step everything to the top of your mat, finding that forward fold. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale, release. Bend into the knees. Left foot will step back this time. Drop the back knee. Walk that right foot forward as much as you like, keeping that right knee above ankle or slightly behind it, just not going past. Hands can stay on mats. Or you can inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. for a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Once again, inhale, reach as much as through the fingertips as you can. Knit the lower and upper ribs towards each other so the shoulders aren't pulling back, but pulling forward to keep that length through the spine. Maybe inhale. Exhale to pull the right hip back, left hip forward. Another inhale. Exhale, hands meet the mat, find those blocks or books. Inhale, start to straighten through that right foot. Maybe you have to walk it forward a little bit, and then flip the toes towards the ceiling, coming onto the heels. Press the hands into the mat or the block, reach the crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Exhale, start to bring the belly towards the right thigh, pulling the crown of the head forward, chest lifted. Take another inhale. Maybe that exhale carries you a little bit more down, keeping that length through the spine, trying to avoid rounding through the torso. Another round of breath here. Inhale. Exhale, start to bend back into that right knee. Set the blocks or your props to the side. Tuck the left toes, lift the knee. Inhale, step it all forward, top of mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, melt back down. Weight into heels, lower belly in. Inhale, sweep the arms out, and then up, reaching all the way towards the ceiling. Palms touch. Exhale, draw the hands through. Inhale, sweep up. Coming into that side stretch from earlier, exhale, right hand comes down to the side. Inhale, left hand reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhale, tip the hips towards the left as the arm reaches over towards the right. Inhale, bring both arms towards the ceiling. Exhale, left hand down to the side. Inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, hips to over towards the right as the right arm reaches towards the left. Inhale to extend up overhead. Exhale, bend into the knees. Start to hinge forward. Keep that length. Take your time coming down. Bring the hands to the mat or the box. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to release. Bend into the knees. Step the right foot back again. Drop the knee down. Untuck the toes. Stay here if you wish. Or inhale to rise. Checking in with those alignment cues from earlier with the hips reaching up, the ribs. You can stay here. You also take a block, water bottle over towards the outside of the left hip. Inhale to reach the right arm up and over as the left hand is at that block. Exhale, start to tip over towards the left. Still trying to pull the left hip back, right hip forward, keep the hips squared. Pressing down through that left hand so you're still lifted, rather sinking the shoulder towards the ear. Breathe here. Next, inhale to reach both arms back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, set the hands down, frame the foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Step that foot in, root the foot completely into the mat. Toes are slightly angled 45 degrees. Rise up to your warrior one. First, take your hands to your hip. Pull left hip forward, right hip back. Knees stacked above ankle. You can find a wider distance or shorter distance in between the feet, but you really want that right foot planted all the way down. Stand through that right foot, through that heel. Feel that engagement through that right leg. Then inhale, rise the arms up when you're ready. Same cues from earlier. Inhale, reach up through the fingertips. Close the ribs towards each other. Keep that length in the spine. Hold here for a round of breath. Take another. Starting to come to pyramid. Bring the hands to the hips. Inhale, straighten through that left leg. Press the left hip back, right hip forward. Take an inhale. Maybe soften a little bit into that left knee as you exhale. Hinge forward. Keep that length all the way down. When you start to notice your rounding, come up out of the posture. Maybe find those blocks. Frame the foot. Maybe fingertips on the block. Maybe palms, as long as you're keeping that crown of the head pulling forward. Lower belly glued to that left thigh. Take an inhale. If you're able, on your exhale, to keep that length in, lower a bit back towards the mat. Breathe into the back of the left leg. Hold here for 5 breaths. Try to make them your slowest breaths yet. One more. Feel free to stay here. You want to take revolved pyramid. You can bring your hand onto that block with your right hand. Take the left hand to left hip. Square the hips off even more. Inhale, press your hand into that block to lift up. Maybe you start to transfer that left hand onto the lower back. Take an inhale. Maybe exhale, start to pull that shoulder back as the chest starts to open up towards the left-hand side. Inhale, pull the crown of the head forward. And take an exhale out. Notice where your balance is in this posture. Sometimes it helps to bring that back foot in a little bit and a little bit out towards the side for a wider stance to make this posture a little easier on the body. Take 2 rounds of breath where you're at. Release the neck. One more inhale. Exhale, start to rotate the chest back down to the mat. Release the left hand down. Bend into that left knee. Step the right foot forward. Maybe wiggle the legs out a little bit. Inhale for that halfway lift. Exhale to release it all down. Inhale, weight into heels, lift the arms out and then up, lower belly in, palms touch. Exhale, draw it through. Inhale, reach the arms up and over. Exhale, right hand down, tilt over towards the right. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, left hand down to the side as you come over in that direction. Inhale to extend. Exhale, bend into the knees, hinge forward, go for that length. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Bend into the knees. Left foot steps back this time. Drop the knee down, untuck the toes. Find that alignment in your body. Inhale to stay here, or lift up towards the ceiling. Check in with the hips, the knee, with the shoulders, the ribs, the arms. Where sensation in this posture. You can stay here, or you can take that block, water bottle, whatever you have, to the outside of the right hip. Bring the right fingertips onto that block. Inhale, reach the left arm up. Exhale, tip over towards the right, finding that side body stretch. Breathe here. Find another breath. Inhale, start to reach back up towards the ceiling. Exhale, send the hands down. Maybe bring both blocks to the top of your mat for leader. Tuck the left toes, lift the back knee. Step that foot in until the foot is completely planted. Toes are slightly angled out, 45. Slowly start to rise up, warrior one. Hands to hips. Just press the right hip back, left hip forward. Take an inhale. Exhale, stamp down through that left leg. Feel that entire leg engaged. Quads, calves, hamstrings. Check in with that right knee above ankle. Either shorten the distance, your stance, or widen it out. Then inhale, sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Roll the shoulders down, ribs in, lower belly in. Hold here for 2 breaths. Another inhale. Exhale, hands to hips. Coming into pyramid, inhale, straighten through that right leg. Then soften a little bit into that right knee as you exhale, hinge forward. Try to keep the hips squared as you come down. Keep that length through the spine. Notice when you start to round back a little bit out, find those blocks and stay there. Really trying to glue that belly to that right thigh. Maybe you inhale. Find more length. Reach the crown of the head forward. And exhale. Hinge from the hips. Bring the belly closer towards the thigh. Keeping that length through the spine. Hold here for 5 rounds of breath on the second side. Noticing sensation as you hold. Still trying to stamp down through that left leg. One more breath. Feel free to stay here. You come into revolved pyramid by taking your left hand down to a block. Right hand to hip at first. Inhale, press left hand down into the block. Lift the chest slightly up. Transfer right hand to lower back. Inhale. And then exhale, start to twist the right shoulder back. Open the chest over towards the side of the room. Widen your distance as necessary or shorten the distance. Release the neck. Inhale, pull the crown of the head forward. Exhale, maybe find a little bit more of a twist. Hold here for 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, start to close the chest back off towards the mat. Release the right hand down. Bend into that right knee. Step the left foot forward, standing forward fold. Wiggle the legs out. Bring weight into heels. Inhale, sweep out and then up, reaching all the way towards the ceiling. Palms meet. Exhale, draw the hands down through heart center. Close the eyes here. Stamp down through the feet like we've been doing. Scrunch the mat underneath the toes. Feel that entire activation in the legs. Pull shoulder blades back. Feel the heart standing, that length, that opening through the chest. Take 2 more rounds of breath here. Next, inhale, reach the arms out and overhead. Exhale, bend into the knees, hinge forward. And this time you can round through the spine, coming into your forward folds. Maybe hands onto the backs of the calves or onto the heels. War weight into the toes to tip you forward into your forward fold. Maybe exhale, use your hands, your biceps to pull your chest closer towards the legs. Drop the head. 5 breaths here. Bring your weight into your toes. Lift the heels up. Bend into the knees. Bring the fingertips out in front of you. Drop the hips all the way down. Coming up onto the toes. Heels are lifted. Wrap the arms around the knees. Curl the head in between the thighs. You can also keep the hands planted to help you stabilize. Allow that round in the spine like you're in your cat. Pull the shoulders back behind you. Drop the forehead towards the thighs. A round of breath here. Start to unround the spine, lift the chest up. Walk the hands a little bit forward, drop the knees down to your mat. Untuck the toes, set hips to heels, meeting in that hero's pose from the beginning of your practice. Take a round of breath here. Close the eyes, maybe. Blink the eyes open whenever you're ready. Start to swing that right leg forward slowly. And drop the hips down, coming so that left heel is to the outside of the left thigh. You might notice that you're tipping over like me. Take a block or a blanket or a pillow, set it underneath the right hips to lift you up. So your hips are on that same plane of existence. Flex the right foot, lift up through the crown of the head. You can just release the hands to the thighs, close the eyes, breathe here. If you want, you can also inhale, find more length. And maybe exhale, bow towards that right leg. Maybe you're walking the hands any point along the leg, except not pressing down on the knee joint. Always feel free to bring a bend into that right leg if it helps this posture as well. Two more breaths here. Inhale, slowly start to come up. Move that block from underneath the right hip. Drop your weight all the way to the right. So you can sweep that left leg out to the side and bring it out behind you. Sweep that right leg back. Flip the top of the foot so it presses onto the mat. Once again, maybe take that block, lift up the left hip, set the hips down on that block. Walk that knee in, that heel in until it's just to the outside of the outer right hip. Straighten through that left leg, flex the foot, maybe soften into that knee a bit. Close the eyes, maybe inhale, find that length in the spine, all the way from the base of the hips, all the way up to the shoulders, the back of the neck, the crown of the head. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you take that inhale. And that exhale, start to bow over that left leg. Hand at any point along the leg. Drop the neck. Just focus on your breath here. One more round of breath. Inhale, start to lift up. Drop the block to the side. Swing your way over towards the left so you can extend that right leg out in front of you. Pedal the legs out, just give them a break. Cross the legs together, roll over the shins, just to come back to hero's pose. Pulling the knees together, sitting on the heels. Widen the heels so they're just outside the hips. Maybe that block comes underneath the glutes, slides in between the legs if you wish. You can stay here and just breathe, close the eyes. If you want more of a quad stretch, you can take an inhale. And exhale, slowly start to walk the hands behind you. Relax the neck. Maybe each exhale, you lower yourself more and more down to the mat. Maybe you come onto forearms. And as long as the knees don't start to lift off the mat, you can start to bring the crown of the head down onto the ground. And breathe there. 3 breaths wherever you're at. If you lowered all the way down to the mat, the heart is slightly puffing out towards the ceiling. Lower belly in to help protect the lower back. To come up, lift the head, walk the forearms down onto the mat. Then come onto the hands, slowly press yourself up. Walk yourself to a tabletop. Give those tops of the feet a break. Tap them into a mat. Bring some energy, some blood back into them. Feel how sensation changes in the feet as we invite some more blood, some more oxygen to reach that part of our body. Take an inhale. Exhale, just take a moment in child's pose, send hips to heels. Bring the forearms down to the mat. Bring the forehead on contact with something, the mat, a block, a pillow. Allow the spine to round after inviting length through the entire spine throughout this practice. One more round of breath here. Inhale, slowly start to walk the hands right in front of the knees. Feel the texture of your mat. Press into your hands, lift up to hero's pose, just a transition. Drop the hips to the side, swing the legs forward. Plant the soles of the feet onto the mat. Wrap the arms around the knees or the shins. Walk the feet in and in until you start to balance on the tailbone and just allow yourself to roll back onto your spine. Maybe you start to rock from side to side, massaging the lower back. Maybe you take a happy baby, bending the knees, 90-degree bend in the legs, flex the toes down, maybe hands reach the outside of the feet to pull them closer in towards the side body, the rib cage. You can rock side to side here. Start to bring the knees back in towards the belly. Set the feet down into the mat. Extend the legs forward. Inhale, reach the arms up above you, or pull back through the fingertips, pull forward through the toes. Find that length once more. Exhale, melt everything down to the mat. Finding corpse pose, splay out in all directions. Setting up for Shavasana. Allow your body to press down into the mat. Notice each point along the ground where your body meets the mat. Rest the eyes. Notice how your body feels in this moment. Maybe compare it from where you started. Allow that heaviness to enter the body. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, nice and loud. Release the breath. Allow it to return to its normal rhythm. Encourage you to stay here as long as you possibly can, really being in this space, just to notice, to observe, to relax. Your mind will always have that point where it wants to drift away, but you can always gently bring it back, returning back to the body, back to the breath. Thank you for joining me for this practice. I hope you all stay well out there. The light within me honors and respects the light within each and every single one of you out there. Namaste.